Hello everybody, and welcome back to the stream and to the channel. I'm Flyler737. After a few weeks off, now we are fully ready. I am fully ready to start again with another stream, another video. This time a little bit different video. We will be talking about mainly my specs, my PC, my Xplane settings. This is going to be the main topic of this video, and on the background we're going to fly as usual, this time with United B737-900 from LevelUP, from Palm Springs to San Francisco. Without further ado, let's jump into the details of this video, starting from my PC and my specification. We are here at gate number 5 in Palm Springs, well ahead of the scheduled departure time. And of course, this is due to the fact that first I want to show you what are my PC specs, what I have on my Xplane, how is the environment of my Xplane, what are my settings, and what I've done to create this simulated world as you see in my streams. So let's jump outside of the simulator for a while. I'm opening up few programs, few softwares that I am finding it really useful. Some of them I will be showing to you, some of them I will be just naming. So first, let's jump into my PC specs. So first of all, this is actually what I am very used to see and use in everyday's life. It's Quick CPU. Quick CPU gives a lot of information about what is the main purpose or the boost that you can give to your CPU. As you can see here, my CPU is an AMD Ryzen 9 5950X 16-core processor. I have it overclocked. It is overclocked based on the Ryzen Master utility, so I haven't done the overclock on the motherboard or by the BIOS of my motherboard, but I am doing it every time I power up Windows via Ryzen Master utility. I'm not using Precision Boost Overdrive. For those of you using AMD, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. For those who do not know what is Precision Boost Overdrive, is a way to overclock your AMD CPU based on your motherboard capabilities. So you can increase the current, the voltage, and the power that you are giving to your CPU via the motherboard, and then the CPU is working, is following these conditions. So it will be running in a slightly overclocked situation, but not in an extreme situation of overclock. This overclock on my PC, on my rig, is obtained manually. So I am running all the cores, all 16 cores at 4.9 gigahertz, giving them a stable current of 1.25 volt. I have seen that these numbers are achievable almost on every PC which is using a 5950X. I am not pushing too much because, as you can see, even running Xplane, the CPU is running really cool. I am not pushing in too much because I have been able to increase all the sorry, I have said 4.9 gigahertz. Sorry, it was 4.5. I was able to push it to 4.9 gigahertz, but this overclock was giving me slightly high temperature for my like for my being calm and being relaxed about this rig, so I have lowered it to 4.5 gigahertz, all 16 cores with 1.25 volt current to all the cores. This is really smooth, really nice overclocked, and as you can see, the CPU is running quite cool, 47.3 degrees, running stable at 4.50 gigahertz, and with not a lot of power spikes, always running around 70 to 80 watt with a TDP of 105, and this is giving me a lot of performance, a lot of extra performance compared to the Precision Boost Overdrive. Quick CPU is also really useful, except for monitoring, also for getting core parking, frequency scaling, turbo boost, and performance. So just sliding all these to 100% and applying it, it will definitely use all cores, all 16 cores and 32 threads without having any issue with the downgrade of performance due to maybe a core that is parked or a core that is not working 100% or whatever reason. So this is the first main thing I have done on my PC. I've got a 5950X from AMD. I have overclocked it at 4.5 gigahertz, 1.25 volt all cores. Next thing I want to talk about is the memory, my RAM. My rig has got 64 gigs of RAM in 4 different sticks, DDR4, and I'm running it at 3600 megahertz. It's an extreme memory profile, and it's an XMP, and this time again is not enabled via the BIOS, via the motherboard, but it's enabled still via Ryzen Master. Ryzen Master, in my opinion, is a very good and comprehensive utility that allows you to overclock your CPU and to overclock your RAM, your memory, without any kind of issue. So my RAM was running at 2600 megahertz by default, enabling the XMP profile on the motherboard, on the BIOS. It was able to run at 3.4 gigahertz, and using Ryzen Master, I have pushed it to 3600 megahertz, which is actually the best solution for a DDR4 with this kind of processor. I was able to push it even further, but performance were decreasing. Don't get me wrong, don't get fooled, excuse me the word, but don't think wrongly that increasing your RAM speed will always increase your performance. I was able to push my RAM up to 4000 megahertz, but this was causing a lot of stuttering, a lot of issues, especially after a couple of hours into the simulation. The PC was kind of slowing down completely. The speed of all fans were like reducing all of a sudden, both GPU, case fan, and etc. And the performance were really degraded for about 30, 40, 50 seconds. And this was mainly due to RAM issue, due to pushing too much too further the RAM speed. As you can see right now, I'm not touching even the mouse, not to mix up anything, but as you can see, I am achieving stable values for memory in all fields, available, in use, and committed. This is really nice. Whenever you are running out of memory, maybe your rig is not able to handle 64 gigs of RAM, maybe just 32 or even 16 is just enough for Xplane 11. I find that Quick CPU is still super fantastic tool, and you can clean up your RAM by pushing this tab here, clean. So it's really nice tool to have and to remember it whenever it needs. I like, for example, to do it before starting the descent or before starting the approach. It's still really interesting to clean the RAM to get the maximum available performance out of your PC. And as well, the temperature, again, running about 47 degrees for all cores. And CPU utilization is about 10%, with spikes around 12%. Frequency is stable at 4.5 GHz, and the power part of the PC, which is the GPU. GPU, I'm currently running an Nvidia GeForce RTX 3090 with 24 gigs of RAM, and I am using the profile via the Nvidia control panel. I will be showing to you quickly with maximum performance. It means that the GPU is still pushing to the maximum achievable performance even when there is no demand for it. I am running the GPU still at idle at 50 degrees Celsius as temperature because of this. So don't be scared. If you enable via Nvidia control panel prefer maximum performance on the GPU, as I will be showing you soon, don't be alarmed if after restarting your PC you will notice that the temperature of your GPU has risen maybe from 25-30 degrees up to 50, because this is perfectly normal. Is the GPU that is running at a high level of awareness in the background, even if it's doing nothing. So these are the specs for the GPU under load with the Xplane open on the background. 99, 98, 97% of utilization. It is currently using 9.4 to 9.6 gigs of memory. As you can see, it's running 9.4 dedicated up to 24, and it's using 0.3 of shared with the RAM. Okay. The temperature is 70 degrees, 71. I am running this GPU for hours and hours without having the temperature going above this value. I can show you also MSI Afterburner. It's really useful as well. As you can see, the fan speed is at 58% and the temperature is 71 degrees, and this is stock. My GPU is not overclocked in any way. I tried many times to overclock the GPU, both with and without core voltage, but it's not giving me the stability and the increase of performance that I was expecting. So as you can see, I have no room for power limit. My GPU, this is a 3090 coming from Dell, and I'm running a Dell Alienware PC, and there is no room for extra power on the GPU, so I am not willing and not able to overclock it. But I'm more than happy with that. I'm more than happy with this 3090 running stock, which is not giving me, despite a lot of other videos I've seen on YouTube saying, for example, that the 3090 from Dell is overheating. I have never had any condition like that. Of course, I am running my Alienware R10, which is the smallest version of the Alienware desktops, case opened. So my case is completely open all the time, and also the power supply unit is turned away from the main motherboard or from the GPU. So it's completely wide open case, and there is a lot of airflow in and out. And as you can see, under load my GPU is never exceeding 70 degrees, 71, and even the junction temperature, so the memory, the VRAM temperature of the Dell 3090 in my rig is not exceeding 88, 90 degrees maximum at all times. So very nice temperature. I'm really happy about this kind of performance. Although I have done some modification in my Alienware R10. Everything is stock except for fans. I have changed the stock fans with 3 Noctua fan. Fantastic items. I can only recommend them for having much quieter system. Then I have replaced my water cooling system for the CPU, my AIO all-in-one cooler, with an Arctic 420 millimeter water cooling system. Of course, on the Dell R10 there is no space to run a 420 millimeter cooler on the case, so it is mounted actually outside the case. But I am really happy about the performance this is giving me and the kind of quietness that the system is. I'm running the simulator. I am not sure that you can hear in the background of the microphone the sound, the noise of my system. And I'm super happy about the 420 millimeter water cooler from Arctic, and the performance also of the GPU fans are not too bad. I can show you a little bit more about this in this other tool I can only recommend you. So this is called Open Hardware Monitor for Alienware. I have just thrown away Alienware Control Center. It's not good. It's not good enough, at least for me. And I am really happy about this Open Hardware Monitor, where you can see all the information about your hardware, and you can even control your fan, even if they are non-stock fan for Alienware. So for now, as you can see, this is an Alienware motherboard. This is the stock Ryzen edition motherboard for Alienware. These are some temperatures in some key points around the motherboard, and these are my fans. Actually, I am running the Arctic IIO. As you can see now, under load with the simulator running is just 620 RPM, so it's really super silent. And then we have 2 Noctua fans on the front that are pulling air inside of the case. Mainly the upper fan is cooling the RAM, and the lower fan is cooling the GPU, running at about 920 RPM. And then we have an extraction fan on top, which is just extracting the hot air out of the case, out of the chassis, that is running at about 970 RPM. As you can see, we are well below 50% with all the fans and still getting fantastic performance in the simulator, as you can see. Then we have the AMD Ryzen 9 5950X, all cores at 4.5 GHz. And the temperature, as you can see, CPU package is running at about 47 degrees. This is the load on the CPU, the power of the CPU, the memory, and as I just mentioned, it's 64 gigs on my rig, and the Nvidia GeForce RTX 3090 running at about 71 degrees, 71 degrees, and this time the GPU fans are running at about 58% with 2270-ish RPM. This is the main noise that my rig is causing. It's not coming from the CPU, not at all. It's coming mainly from the GPU. I have never tried, I'm not thinking even right now, not thinking about doing a mod on my GPU, trying to replace the stock fan with some kind of maybe Noctua or Arctic low noise fan. I'm happy with that anyway. And as you can see, I'm just going somewhere. No, I'm not able to show you right now from this, but I am able using hardware monitor. Hardware monitor is another nice tool that I can let's see if I can use it or if I can find it. No, unfortunately I'm not. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. I am here able to show you. No, I don't want a new version right now. Sorry for that. I can show you specifically the T-junction, so the temperature of the GPU in the memory. So right now, GPU memory junction temperature is at 92 degrees. And this is the hottest point of my GPU, and it's running at 98%. So very nice performance. If you, for whatever reason, have got Dell Aurora Alienware R10 and suffering for high temperatures, about the GPU, I can definitely recommend to open the case. Leave the case open. Unfortunately, the design of the R10 case is bad. It's quite bad, so it needs to be open. It's important to get performance out of the GPU in the Aurora R10 to let the graphic card to breathe. About the CPU, I can definitely recommend you to change the water cooling system. If you have an air cooling system, change into a water cooling system. If you already have a water cooling system and not happy about the performance, get a bigger one. Open the case and get a bigger one. As a stock, the Aurora R10 is coming with a 120 millimeter all-in-one water cooling, which is definitely downsized, especially for these CPUs like the 5950X or maybe a 12900K. 120 millimeter I/O is definitely underpowered to cool such a CPU. Of course, you can go for a 240 millimeter or a 320 millimeter I/O, then you will get surely better performance, but I can only recommend you, if you don't want compromises, go for the Arctic 420 second generation all-in-one water cooling. It's huge, 340 millimeter fan to cool a huge radiator which is 48 centimeter in length and just running smooth, quiet, and is keeping your CPU well under control, even under overclocked conditions. So this is just an overview of my specification for what I have as an hardware. Then it comes along performance tweaking path. So I'll just close down all these things because I don't want them to have running into the background. Sorry for all times that the screen will be flashing. Good. So right now the simulator is running really smooth. I can show you my FPS right now. So I am getting about 43 FPS, really smooth performance. And as you can see, I have got ortho, and I have got also Xenviro running. I'm always using Xenviro under OpenGL. So this is not Vulkan, this is OpenGL. And I will be showing my Xplane 11 setting in a second. Just opening a parenthesis talking about the Nvidia control panel. So let's go there into the Nvidia control panel to have some information about my settings there. First of all, I've not even installed GeForce Experience. This, I've seen that it was causing major stutterings, major heaviness on my system. So I have not installed Nvidia GeForce Experience. Then this is what I have as setting on my Nvidia control panel. First of all, of course, I have used the advanced 3D image settings that are available on the second tab. I have tried the DSR, the dynamic super resolution, both at 1.78 and 2.25 times, but I was not really happy with that. Performance were really degrading just in order to get slightly better visual situation, and I was able to get the same visual level enabling the anti-aliasing in Xplane, and I was getting better performance. So in the end, it's up to you to check if on your system DSR can be a good solution or a bad solution. Just to recap, what DSR does is to increase virtually the resolution of your monitor. So it can increase by 1.78 times up to 2.25 times the resolution of your monitor, and it can give you very nice and crisp resolution even without any anti-aliasing on Xplane. But on my case, on my rig, I had better frames without DSR and enabling the anti-aliasing in Xplane. It's a test that you will need to do anyway. Then program setting specific. This is Flight Simulator. No, not the one I want to talk about, but Xplane. This is what I've done on my Nvidia control panel specifically for Xplane. The bold items are those that I've changed. So I have anisotropic filtering to 16 times. This is because anti-aliasing, as you know, is really lacking on Xplane 11. We are really hoping in a very nice anti-aliasing in Xplane 12, something like the TAA system that is in use in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I'm trying to push the anti-aliasing at the maximum capability even through the Nvidia control panel, running an anisotropic filtering to 16 times, anti-aliasing FXAA to on, anti-aliasing mode to enhance the application settings, anti-aliasing setting 4 times, transparency 4 times super sample, then it's all default until OpenGL rendering texture or rendering GPU. I'm using the RTX 3090, because I'm running at all time my Xplane 11 under OpenGL. Power management mode, prefer maximum performance. This is what I was talking about before at the beginning. If you choose prefer maximum performance, and I do really recommend to do that, don't be afraid or be alarmed if you see, for example, in MSI Afterburner that even at idle running just Windows, your GPU is getting around 50 degrees Celsius. It's normal. It's because of this, because you choose to prefer maximum performance, and the GPU is always getting ready in the background to be able to start up and give you the performance that you are requesting. Then this is actually my monitor. I am just using the global setting. I'm running an Asus 49V, which is the aspect ratio 32:9 ultra wide monitor, 49 inches. And of course, the dimension of your monitor, the resolution of your monitor is impacting on your performance in the simulator. In all simulators, Xplane 11, Microsoft Flight Simulator, P3D, it's always depending. The biggest you have, the less you get. So be prepared to be calibrated between the GPU that you have and the monitor that you are running or you are using. Texture filtering, anisotropic sample optimization on. Texture filtering negative LOD bias to clamp. Texture filtering quality to eye performance. This is also really important. Texture filtering thread area optimization on. Thread optimization on. This is actually something peculiar that is really variable depending on each person, each rig, each specification. Mainly, we have seen from many sources that Xplane 11 is running smoothly with just 3 cores. Threaded optimization is using multi-core technology in order to get better performance using all cores available on your PC. But Xplane is mainly using just 3 cores. So it's a test that you need to do depending on your specification and your hardware, if threaded optimization on, off, or auto is giving you better or worse performance. In my opinion, in my experience with the Dell R10 Ryzen with the 5950X and the GPU Nvidia 3090, threaded optimization on is giving much better performance. Then triple buffering off, vertical sync fast. I don't know why this needs to be on fast. I'm not using VSync for whatever reason, but using vertical sync to fast is giving me much smoothness in the simulator compared to off. So weird. Sometimes it's just a matter of testing. So this is it. Talking about the threaded optimization and the numbers of cores that your Xplane is really using, here comes another piece of software which is really useful, which is Process Lasso. Process Lasso is very useful on Windows 10, a little bit less useful on Windows 11, and I don't want to go too much into in depth in Process Lasso because this is not a video about how it works. I just suggest you to look around on YouTube. There are a lot of videos explaining how to use Process Lasso with Xplane 11, but mainly what Process Lasso does is to perform a better task sharing of the power of the CPU cores. As you can see here on the right top corner, I have 32 threads, which are the 32 threads of my 5950X CPU. What I have chosen here is to give to Xplane high priority and using CPU affinity 0 to 15. What does it mean? It means that on my system, using process Lasso, Windows and the computer is giving power to Xplane using only 16 threads of my CPU. The remaining 16 are available for other things, for other resources. For example, to run other items like software for stream or CPU or quick CPU, process Lasso, or for example running Xenviro in the background of Xplane. So I feel I have a better balance between what really Xplane is using and what my PC is able to give. So I definitely recommend you to try as well Process Lasso on your PC, enabling the BitSum highest performance profile. This BitSum highest performance profile is able to keep your PC at 100% responsiveness even during high load situations. For example, when you are loading a flight on Xplane or when you are loading Xplane itself. I find it really useful, and it takes track of the events that are requiring BitSum highest performance to intervene. So I have come across 27 Pro Balance events, 2 of them today. So it's really useful. I am really hoping that Xplane 12 will be able to use full multi-core environment, and we can get rid, maybe, I hope, with Xplane 11, or sorry, with Xplane 12, we can maybe get rid of Process Lasso. But for the time being, in Xplane 11, I do really recommend you to use this. Good. These were my settings in Xplane Nvidia control panel, and yeah, this was actually it. I can just put it down. It's still there, perfect, and I can close down my Nvidia control panel. Now back to Xplane. Now that I have done an overview about what are the specification and the setting outside Xplane, let's jump into the specification of Xplane itself. So I'm opening up the settings and going into graphics tab. So this is actually what I am currently running in Xplane. Of course, I'm running a full screen simulator, single monitor, with the default monitor setting, which the resolution of my monitor is this one, is 38, I am running this one, 3840 by 1080 at 144 Hz. I have even highest resolution, these two actually, 5120 and 5760. These are the DSR resolution that I showed you before using Nvidia control panel. So these are fake or electronically achieved resolutions. They are not real. I have tried them, but I'm not really fully satisfied with them. So I really enjoy my default monitor setting at 1080p. Then, well, field of view is depending on your monitor, on your field of view, as it says. I'm not using vsync, by all means. I'm not using track IR, at least for the moment. And then it comes up here for the main settings. A lot of people, me as well, is a little bit like complaining about lack of settings in Xplane. On P3D and as well in Microsoft Flight Simulator, there are too many, and in Xplane there are too few. So I hope that Xplane 12 will be allowing kind of balanced situation between these worlds, and how settings are arranged in Xplane 11 is that all items, mainly, this is really important, mainly affecting your CPU are on the right side of the tab, and those other settings affecting mainly your GPU are on the left side of the tab. Mainly, this is crucial, mainly because numbers are linked. If you have a very good GPU and a very bad CPU, you will not be able to get good performance out of Xplane, because GPU and CPU must work together in the best way possible to get the best performance out of your rig. So, for example, right now, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory, especially if you already own Xplane, if you have played around with the settings around a bit. So I'm running visual effects to high, texture quality to maximum, anti-aliasing to 4 times SSAA FXAA, anisotropic filtering to minimum. I was not really able to see any improvement or benefit with this anisotropic filtering. Number of warp objects to maximum, reflection details to minimal, no parked aircraft, no shadow on the scenery, and no Vulkan. As I already mentioned, I'm running full OpenGL with Xenviro. Back to the simulation. As you can see, I'm running still around 43-44 FPS, and these numbers are really important. On the top left corner are really important: CPU time and GPU time. As you can see now, we have 0.0223 and 0.02119 to 20, around there. As you can see, these numbers are pretty equal. This is the key to have the best possible FPS into the simulator. Running a GPU time that is almost the same as CPU time is ensuring that no item on your PC is actually bottlenecking your performance. If you see numbers rising quickly on the CPU, it means that your CPU is bottlenecking your system. If you see numbers rising quickly on your GPU, then it means that your GPU is bottlenecking your system. So to keep things equal, you will have to lower the details or lower the slides regarding GPU or CPU, depending on which of the two you are getting the highest number. That being said, it's an intrinsical property of Xplane 11 to be really dependent, or to be really performance dependent, about weather. Clouds, sky, precipitation, visibility, thunderstorm, fog are all creating a lot of variables into the performance section of your Xplane 11 simulator, really differently from what, for example, Microsoft Flight Simulator is able to do, where weather is almost not influencing at all your performance. Here in Xplane 11 you will have a lot of performance issues when you have really bad weather. So if you have a really clear and sunny sky day, for example like today, it's more likely to have better performance than a foggy, low clouds, overcast day with exactly the same settings into your simulator. So you might have also to consider to adapt your settings, especially the world of number, the number of world objects, depending on the day. If it's cloudy, rainy, bad weather, or if you are flying to a really dense city, like for example San Francisco, then you might consider to lower the number of world objects by a notch instead of suffering lack of performance. Being said that, the last suggestion I would like to give is that despite the fact that you can have the best, really the best PC out there, maybe with a 5950X or a 12900K with an RTX 3090, even with a remarkable producer like EVGA or maybe MSI or maybe Asus, whatever, you will have to keep into account that Xplane 11 is limited by few constructor things that will cause always a little bit of stutters, a little bit of delay, a little bit of simulation not being perfectly smoothed. This is especially valid if you're running in OpenGL mode. If you're running in Vulkan, it's going to be a little bit better, but remember, if you have a very high-end PC like 5950X, 12900K, 12700K, 3080 Ti, 3080, 3090, and you are trying Vulkan, you will not see an increase in performance because your PC is already a high-end PC and performance cannot go further. Okay, so if you have an high-end PC, it's definitely suggested to run in OpenGL, especially because Xplane 11 was born under OpenGL, sacrificing a little bit of smoothness sometimes. If you're looking for the perfect smoothness, the perfect performance, then go for Vulkan, but then consider not using Xenviro. In my opinion, Xenviro is a fantastic tool, but under Vulkan is a little bit of waste of money. Being said that, I would like to conclude my overview of my specification and my settings and my suggestions about Xplane right now. And now I'd like to focus on our flight. Today we will be flying from Palm Springs to San Francisco using the LevelUP 737-900ER in United Library. We will be right back, just a little bit of time to set up the online connection for our flight plan, and we will be live streaming this sector. Thank you so much for watching until now. Just be patient a little bit more and I'll be back to you. here we are back in the cockpit. I have connected the sim to the VATSIM network, and I have adjusted the time of the day to match our departure time, which is 2010 UTC. And this is our flight plan from Palm Springs to San Francisco. We are parked at stand number 5 in Palm Springs. We will be flying at flight level 380 using cost index of 54. We have 0 fuel mass 134.1 ish, and the planned gate fuel is going to be 14.3. So without further ado, let's start up this beauty. Okay, we have a good battery and good ground power unit. Perfect. This works. Yeah, if this time's yaw damper, or if sometimes the yaw damper is not going on, is because the process of the alignment of the nav of the IRS is not yet completed. So you are still on DC until the IRSs are on DC and not to align. You are not able to engage the yaw damper, because the yaw damper on the NG is also getting information from your from the IRSs. So this is all good. Good. And today, as I mentioned, we will be flying at flight level 380. And we will be landing in San Francisco, which is at sea level. And that's it. Now light are already on. That's good. Perfect. Then adjusting a little bit the clocks. Too bright otherwise for me. I'm just skipping the flow quite fastly because we have run through this a lot of times. This I don't want actually. I don't know why. This is the LevelUP actually. It's a fantastic aircraft. I honestly, personally think that the LevelUP has got a much better flight model than the Zibo, without any offense to Zibo, of course. It's a fantastic aircraft, but the LevelUP as a flight model is one notch above, especially when talking about single engine handling. I felt as a real Boeing 737 rated pilot, I've really felt that the LevelUP is handling much closer to the real aircraft or to the Level D simulator aircraft than the Zibo, especially as I said, single engine. Then what we will have is this Cathedral 1 departure. So we're gonna have Palm Springs 15.5, 15.5, yes, I want that. 15.5 and 15.5. Then we want 310, 310, 310. top altitude for us is going to be most probably 13,000, which is actually our MSA. 13,000. There we go. Yes. And talking about peripheral and joysticks and yokes, I'm using for the 737 the Honeycomb Alpha flight yoke with the Bravo throttle quadrant. Whenever I fly Airbus, even though I am a Boeing fan, a Boeing pilot, I'm using the Thrustmaster Warthog stick and throttle. Very good items. All of them are really good items. So let's jump into the FMC and see what do we have here. The database, of course, is up to date. We are in Palm Springs, GPS left as usual. So I'm really running as I was in the real cockpit. Flight number is United 2631. By the way, I have to announce that this might be my last stream for a while. And for a while I'm talking about maybe some month. Because something new is happening in my life. Something new professionally. So probably I might be busy. I should be busy in my life for at least a couple of months without any interruption. So maybe this is gonna be my last stream for a good amount of time. And of course, I hope that you are not sad for me, but you are happy for me. And we will be, of course, resuming as soon as possible these fantastic moments together. Here I am back, sorry for this delay. Back to the cockpit and ready to go. I have started the APU. APU is powering up, seatbelt sign is on, almost good to go, perfect. APU is on bus, starting the timer. I can disconnect the GPU. So far, we can also remove the jet bridge and call for pushback. Perfect. Slightly behind schedule right now, 4 minutes behind schedule, but we will recover. Or we will try to recover. There's no promise in that. So 575, this is going to be our takeoff trim. And we can actually, since now, run some checklist. So we can do the pre-flight checklist. All the way. Perfect. So we have pins and covers removed, oxygen test at 100%. Yes. Nav transfer and display switch is normal. Auto window heat is on. Pressurization mode selector is auto. Flight instrument track 160, altimeter 2983, reading 430 feet. Parking brake is set. Engine start levers cut off. Taxi and takeoff briefing is completed. Will be the Cathedral departure out of runway 31 left. And fuel 14,300 pounds, 4 pumps on. Passenger signs are set. Auto brake is RTO. CDU pre-flight and ACARS completed. Takeoff speeds V1 142, VR 143, V2 148. MCP V2 148 heading 310, altitude 13,000 feet set. So now we can turn on the strobe light. Air is good. And let's have a look on the outside. Everything is clear even behind us. So we can definitely start a timer, release the parking brake, and start to push. And I just need to reconnect. Good. So we'll be starting 2 and 1 in sequence. Uh-oh, a door is still open. Yeah, because this is the level up. It doesn't close automatically the door when the jet bridge is disconnected. So, good, perfect. So, good, pressure is checked, starting engine number 2. Oh, I forgot, of course, the before start checklist. Flight deck door close and lock, the doors and windows close and locked, anti-collision light is on, transponder is as required, is all off, rather than on trim 3 and 0. That's good, perfect. Good. Fuel in. Static it out. Perfect. Very nice. Thank you. Parking brake set to park. Thank Thank you. Starting engine 2. Sorry, engine 1. I cannot get it this evening. Fuel in. Okay, static it out. We had 2 good engine starts. May disconnect. Shows the pin to the right hand side and have a very, very good day. Bye bye. Engine number 1 is stable. Good. Yeah, he's pushing as well. Thank you. Have a very good day. Bye-bye. APU off. Flap 5. Pin seen. Perfect. Flight control checks. Full up, center, full down, center, full left, center, full right, center, rudder, full left, center. It's strange that it stays still on the left side. Anyway, full right, center. Good. Perfect. Clear left, clear right. Yeah, where this guy went, I don't know. Went back to the parking. Yeah, maybe back to the parking. Anyway. Before taxi checklist, generators on, probeat on, anti-ice is off, air conditioning and pressurization packs auto, isolation valve is auto, engine start switch is continuous, recall checked, engine start levers idle detent, flight controls checked, ground equipment is cleared, flaps 5 plan 5, green lights, and APU is off before taxi checklist is completed. Now we're going to taxi out to all-in point, runway 31 left via whiskey. Would be whiskey 2 and whiskey here. Perfect. Let's see if there is any ATC. Just LA later on. Path in traffic, United 2631 holding point or taxi to holding point 31 left via whiskey 2 and whiskey. Good. Clear left and right. Taxi, parking brake off, and here we go. Good. This is whiskey 2, then right turn on whiskey to holding point 31 left. Latest weather is, I think it's gusty wind right now here. It's 330 degrees, 18 knots, gusting 23. Yes. During a gusty condition, this is not really bad situation because actually there is another guy here coming and going. I don't know, and now it disappeared again. Anyway, the wind now is almost straight on the runway, so it's not really a crosswind component, but it's important not to play around with flap settings and speeds, especially on the 900. The 900 is the longest variant of the 737NG, and it has got a really little tail tip clearance, especially when using a low flap setting. I'm talking about, for example, flaps 1 for takeoff. So I personally don't like to take off flap 1 on the 900. I can accept takeoff flap 1 on the 800. I would take off without any problems on the 700 with flap 1, but definitely not on the 900. So flap 5 is good takeoff setting for this condition on the 900. Speeds are pretty good because we have 148 as a V2, which is quite a good amount of speed. And in case we are worried, we or I as captain or first officer or pilot in command, worried about the performance that can be achieved during departure due to gusty conditions or suspected wind shear, you can just delete the derated takeoff. So instead of going for a derated thrust, you go for takeoff 2, takeoff 1, or even takeoff without any problems. You as the pilot in command have the option to decide what is the best course of action for your aircraft and your flight. Good, cabin is ready. It seems that nobody is on final. Let me check. No, let me check also on the other side. Let's stop here for a second. Let me check on the other side if there is anybody. No. On the threshold 13, no. So we are good to go. It's time. Clear right, clear left, and here we go. Palm Spring traffic, United 2631, line up. Takeoff 31 left on the Cathedral 1 departure. Good. So we go for landing, strobe, taxi light off. We already go for timing. Transponder. Will be rolling departure. Good. And before takeoff checklist, flaps, 5 plan 5 green light, stabilizer trim is set 6 units, sorry for that. Cabin call is given before takeoff checklist is completed. Good. Engine stable, set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set. Checked. Gear up. Very smooth rotation, 2.5 until 3 degrees per second. LNAV, VNAV speed checked. It's always an amazing view departing from Palm Spring runway 31. You have these mountains on the left side, is just fantastic, amazing. Checked, Command B. N1, climb 2. Just waiting for the 3000 for the acceleration. So we can gain altitude as much as we can without having to pay too much attention to the performance. Now we will be accelerating soon. Here we go. Perfect. Good. Flap 1. Speed checked. Okay, will be a right turn right now. Sorry, I pushed the wrong button on heading select. I went on heading select. Flaps up. Speed checked. And flaps up. No lights. Very nice. We have an MSA in this sector of 12.1, so we need to climb quite a lot before we can turn. So most probably we will have to do the entire SID, but yeah, we can gain a little bit of margin using full climb thrust. So set full climb thrust. Full climb thrust is set. Here we go. We can assume also to climb level 300 unrestricted. 300 set. Perfect. I'm hoping not to have problems in stream. I might have seen some stutters on my stream playback, so I do apologize for this if it's the case. So we can have a look down here. Cruise altitude best optimum 380. It matches. So sounds very good for me. Accepting 380 as final level. Level 380 is 1, 2, and 3 times set. Perfect. Good. Approaching 10,000. Goody. Yes, contact LA Center. 3555. 3555 coming up. LA Center, good day. United 2631 passing level, passing 1000, climbing level 380 on the Cathedral 1 departure, Palm Springs. Seven two zero five coming up. Sorry for that. I didn't receive anything, unfortunately. 2631. Coming up with a squawk. Can you say it again, please? Okay, understood. And can you say again the squawk, please, for United 2631? 7205 coming up. Yeah, was not my fault. I didn't receive anything, or I think you have also noticed that I didn't miss anything on the outgoing part of the flight preparation. But anyway, standard, and we can go through the after takeoff checklist. Engine bleeds on, packs auto, landing gear up and off, flaps up, no lights, and altimeter standard, passing level, passing 16,000 now. I would like to maintain level 380, United 2631. Left to Palmdale, and we'd like to maintain 340, United 2631. Left turn, Palmdale, climb level 340, United 2631. Let's do like that, 340, left turn, and then we can adjust better down here. So we go to Palmdale, PMD, on top, but we would like to go on the left side, so we continue on heading, and we adjust 340 for the moment, as well here, 340, execute. Perfect, so we go again, Palmdale, on top. It's still not the case, but we will try. Still getting better for left or right turn. Now it goes to the left. Perfect. So we can execute that LNAV. Let's see what it gives to us. 340, 340. Yeah, looks good. We could even climb 3.8, but anyway, we will check it out later. It's hard sometimes to understand if an ATC that is performing air traffic services in a center, in an ACC, in an area control center, if it's covering, if he or she is covering also a predetermined airport. Good. I'll have to somehow increase the volume. It's still 100% here, but okay. But still at maximum, so I can reduce the volume of the rest. I'll do other way around. Good. So here we are direct to Palmdale. We can declutter a little bit the screen. Yeah. We could even climb further. Yeah. A little bit of turbulence. It seems that it's going to be pretty smooth flight, no turbulence, no bad weather at all. But yeah, climbing level 380 looks much better than just stopping at 340 right now. So I'm gonna ask that as soon as possible. And control United 2631 requesting now level 380 as final, please. Not a good moment. Vertical speed 1000. Alt acquired. Check. Alt hold. We'll see. United 2631 requesting level 3804 as final now. Uh, 380 please. climb and maintain flight level 380, United 2631. Good, 380, set. VNAV, FMC speed, VNAV path, 380, set. 1, 2, and 3 times. And 1 VNAV speed. Now we have good and right information on the FMA. So 380 for this flight is much better, suits much better than any other levels, and 340 seemed a little bit too low, even though we might have stronger headwind at 380, but I don't think it will be much worse. Anyway, we are now directed to Palmdale VR, and from Palmdale we are going to intercept our arrival route into San Francisco. Unfortunately, right now there is no controller in San Fran, but there might be in the future, so we'll see. Then what to say? Reaching up about the cruise altitude, almost there, and after that our flight is smooth, everything is completed. It's nice to have a look at the overhead panel from time to time, and also the center pedestal, everything looks good and nice, perfect. It's a good moment to check the latest weather for San Francisco. For the moment we can get the weather briefing here for KSFO. So the latest weather says 2608, 10 miles, few 700, few 48, broken 60, overcast 15, 30 with 8, 3002 actually, perfect. So it's cloudy, not too bad, good runway 28, we expect 28 right, might be also 28 left, 3002, and then we have deviation of +7, so it should be something like that. So 3002, so we're going to the FMC to get advantage 7, and we said 3002, yes. Then we can put in some wind for descent. We can put 340, 300, 1002, so we get to monitor this level off. It's important to monitor the level off. Good. There is one traffic, but it's almost 40 miles away, so no problem. Our rate of climb is not too bad, so we can continue like that. And otherwise I would have gone into vertical speed mode as I did before when we were about to level off at flight level 340. So I guess also the other traffic that was taking off from Palm Springs is actually going to San Francisco. Let's check it out. So this is actually us, 2631. Yeah, and this other guy is also going to San Francisco. Same flight. Same flight, yes. And he is climbing to flight level, what did he choose? 320, so much lower than us. Okay. Can be okay, can be good, can be worse. Anyway, FMC speed, VNAV path. Here we are. we go into N1 climb, so we have a little extra margin. Now it's useful to speed up a little bit. It's useful to have this extra power, and it's a good technique to do at all time. 234 nautical miles to top of the sand. It's about half an hour from now, so looks good. We will have a little bit of time to talk about few things during the cruise segment. So let's go ahead for the planning of the descent with the winds. 340, we have 279.47, 279 at 47. Then we have 278.34. Then we have 261 at 21. Then we expect about 4,000 pounds to go. So we're gonna have 108. Is it correct? Can we weight only 112 pounds? It's pretty strange anyway. 102.0. It seems too little actually. Yeah, definitely. $134.5 we are. But the takeoff didn't have any problem. So 134.5. 134.5. Yeah. That was strange anyway, because we took off without any problems. So, okay, 4,000, so we're gonna have 140.7. That was pretty strange, eh? 140.7. So we can have 149, 5 knots, 284. And then if it's gonna be 28 right, it's gonna be 111.70, which was already preset. And then what I want is the San Francisco VR, which is 15.8. 15.8 set. Okay. Pretty strange anyway, huh? That thing with the weight. Okay. Because also, as you can see now, also the optimum cruise level didn't change. So it's strange that it's more than 40,000 pounds and the altitude didn't change at all. But okay, can be also a bug of the level 1. We all know that the 900ER of the LevelUP series is the aircraft with the majority of bugs in the family actually. We are just talking about few items with the center of gravity. As you can see, there are few numbers with the center of gravity that are not really the best figures ever, and maybe also some problems with the speeds or with these weight entry. So it can be as well. And we all know the bug about the problem with the cargo doors that are not opening on the 900ER. That is another well-known bug. So good. So to talk about a little bit of performance in Xplane, I am using this PC since November last year, and I spent a lot of time in fine-tuning this. Don't get exhausted by over-trying and over-tuning your PC. You have always to try, always to like find the perfect sweet spot between performance, noise, capabilities, visual pleasure as well. And I'd like to continue to show you what I have on my PC as software. So we talked about all the Windows software. We talked about Xplane, but Xplane has got some add-on. I already told you about the orthophoto that I'm using, and actually now we are passing by an interesting area, which is this one. This here is the Edwards Air Force Base. And of course, the orthophoto in this area for Xplane are really bad because there is like a grayed out area of satellite image around the Edwards Air Force Base. But this is it. And yeah, I'm using anyway orthophoto. Here it's much more visible. Let's go on the outside. There should be no problem for your ears. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, these are the orthophoto from V-States. Actually, this is V-States, California. Just amazing, beautiful, and I've got Xenviro, so I can show you actually what are my Xenviro settings. These are my settings, and I really think these are sweet spots for me. Actually, even increasing the quality of the clouds to medium or to high, it just degrades the performance so much without having too much visual quality extra. So I guess this is just perfect for a sweet spot, even on a high-end PC. And then I've got few aircraft. Of course, I've got the 737, both the LevelUP and the Zibo. I've got the 757, 767 from Flight Factor and Step to Sky. I've got the A320 from Flight Factor. I've got the Tolis 319, 321 with the Neo extension. Then I have the Embraer 175 from SSG. And I found out that that aircraft is pretty interesting, pretty well done, not perfect, not study level aircraft, but it's still a good aircraft. Yeah, definitely. I am hoping a lot for many improvements into the AD simulation CRJ 700, which was recently released in November last year or December last year, and I'm really hoping a lot in improvements. Still, the working team has got a lot of improvement on that, and I'm really pleased. But of course, I'd like to see a little more. What's that for us? I don't know. Maybe no, maybe yes. And what else? A lot of airport scenery, really a lot. And I have almost the ortho for the entire US plus, yeah, contiguous states plus a Y actually. These ortho are running on a separate HDD. It's about 2 terabyte capability, plus I have an NVMe of other 2 terabyte capability with Xplane running on it. And on top of Xplane, which is actually my favorite top-notch simulation for the balancing between visual performance and feeling and user interface, which is really friendly, I guess, in Xplane. I still have installed on my system Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I'm trying to get used to it, even though it's almost 2 years that it's out, but I'm not really a fan of. Still a lot of problems, performance issues, and even with a high-end rig, and still lacking of complex aircraft. Maybe with the PMDG 737 coming up for Microsoft Flight Simulator will be better to use that. And of course I'm still using also P3D. P3D is kind of old school coming from Flight Simulator X, Flight Simulator 10, FS10. Yeah, I think LA Center is closing right now. Yeah, LA is closed. Frequency change approved. Good day to you. Thank you. Perfect. So we go back to Unicom 122.8 for the continuation of our flight. I think there is no control in San Francisco as well right now, but maybe it will open later on. We'll see. We'll see. So what I was saying about P3D is that P3D is kind of old school, coming from the times of Flight Simulator 10 FSX, and I'm personally using Flight Simulator from version I guess 4.0 it was, or maybe 6.0. I don't remember exactly. It was Flight Simulator for Windows 95. That was my first ever Flight Simulator used. And from then on, I jumped from one version to the other, all the way up from Flight Simulator for Windows 95 to Flight Simulator 98, 2000, 2002, 2004, FSX. Then it came P3D, all P3D version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Xplane 11, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. So this is my world of flight simulation from, I guess, 1995 until now. When I started in 1995, I was 7 years old. Now I'm 34 years old, and I made a hobby, a passion, into my job. So right now I am flying 737, starting with a new company soon. So this is because this might be my last stream for a while, for maybe a couple of months, because I will undergo the training in this new company, and yes, this is it. So I'm thrilled about this idea, but the flight simulation will still be on my side all the way. So I will be doing all my best, the best as I can, to keep streaming, to keep sharing the knowledge, sharing information on the 737, I will be flying again the Max as well. This is another pleasure I'm really missing since the Max was grounded, because I've flown the Max, the Dash 8. Then the Max was grounded. I started to flying again only the 800, and then COVID came, so I was left home. I was furloughed, so I didn't fly the NG nor the Max. Then I flew the Classic. I went to the Classic for a little bit, and now it's time to go back to the NG, go back to the Classic. So I'm really thrilled about this, and thank you for supporting me in all these time I have been at home, or almost completely at home. This will be a full-time new adventure, and as soon as I can, I will be sharing more information with you all. So back to this stream, back to my Xplane. About tuning, I have found out that few other things that are affecting Xplane performance are in Windows background. So I am also encouraging you all that are not happy with the performance out of Xplane 11 to have a look on YouTube, have a look on the internet, and search for optimizing Windows 10 or Windows 11 for gaming. Few videos will show up. There are few of them that are really well made. I think it will be the top of the available video that will come up to you, and I will suggest really to have a look at those and to set up your Windows as shown in those videos, because reducing the workload in background will allow your PC to run smoother, faster, and I'm really talking about background Windows process. For example, background software that are launching automatically at Windows startup, or Windows updates. I am disabling at all times Windows Update when I'm flying in order not to have disturbance of or loss of performance should an update come up meanwhile I am flying. And I am also shutting down the Windows security or former Windows Defender as much as I can. Well, we all know that it's not possible to shut down completely Windows Defender or Windows Security in Windows 11 unless you have the Pro version of Windows, but there are a few ways to walk around that. So you can, for example, disable a lot of features, a lot of extra features, accessory features that are not correctly or directly linked to Windows Defender or Windows Security, but that allow you to have much less pressure on your PC. And then what can you do is just to run a check of your PC, a quick check, excluding all the folders that you don't want to be touched, like for example Xplane folder, Microsoft Flight Simulator folder, P3D folder, and you can add as much as you want. The better in my opinion, because you are adding exclusion to Windows Security, and should Windows Security start up at any or in any case, it will just run a very quick and swift search, maybe in 10, 15, 20 folders, and it's going to take about 10, 20 seconds. And if there is a degradation in performance, it will just last about 20 seconds, not more. So this is another advice, another piece of advice I can give you. And that is how I just prepared, set up my PC to run Xplane in this kind of condition. And then of course I am using a lot of others add-on. I can just nominate them quickly, like ground handling from I don't remember who was that. Was it those that are also doing the 320 and the 330? Anyway, it's ground handling deluxe. XP realistic, and this is actually just for some bridging towards a few virtual airlines acres. And this is, I guess it's just for the 320 from Flight Factor, but it's not real use. Then of course Xenviro, Xpilot for ATC, Avitab, of course, better pushback. Fly with Lua, it's interesting because I've got a few macros here like simple ground services, it's really nice, and friction. This is a script that modifies the friction in Xplane, especially during slowing down on the runway after landing. This is a really well done script. If you are interested in any of these, I'm not ready to show them or put some links in the description of the video during the stream, but if any of you is interested in looking at those scripts and not able to find them on the internet, just leave a comment and I will answer with the link directly. Then, of course, these are from some airports, Atlanta and Chicago, from Nimbus. Then I have SAM, of course, X-Camera, and Terrain Radar, which works, of course, even on our fantastic LevelUP or on the Zebo. SAM, you have seen it in action during departure phase from Palm Springs. This is SAM 3. And I am currently using all possibilities with SAM 3. So I've got the base plugin, got the airport, got the follow me, and I've got the season. And of course I have the jetways. I think SAM is gonna be the best best solution for having all the information at hand, all the add-ons, all the improvements at hand for Xplane 11. I really think that. And from what I've read, what I've seen around on the web, many features that are part of SAM are default implemented into Xplane 12. So this is another great news. So we are almost approaching 80 miles to our top of descent. Let's see how the situation is around here. Still no ATC, so we will have to be self-controlled, but it's okay. Let's have a look if there is anybody else that is going to San Francisco. This guy here is going to Sacramento, and we are here. this guy here is going to Oakland. This is San Francisco, but it's well ahead of us. And the other guys that was going with me to San Francisco has disappeared. So I guess we should be pretty alone to go to San Francisco. So we have already set up the winds for the descent, altimeter, and temperature deviation. What I am missing is the final setup of the FMC. So now we also have the speeds, and we have the course frequencies and everything. So we just miss the minima, which is 213 here. $213 will be coming up soon. Here we go, set up. And we can remove the terrain mode, it's not really needed right now. And we are missing the expected altimeter setting in San Fran, which is 3001. So now we have a new 80s for San Francisco, which says now wind is 270, gusting 18. So it's going to be interesting, not tough, but interesting. 10 miles visibility, light rain, few 600, scattered 2000, broken 5000, overcast 5000. Temperature 13, dew point 9 QNH, or altimeter 3001. And simultaneous dependent ILS 28 right, 28 left. Landing runway 28 left and 28 right. Departing runway 1 left and 1 right. Bird activity in the vicinity of airport. Advise you have information Golf. So this is it. So we expect wet runway and landing on 26 right. 26 right is 28 right is 3,617 meters long, is really long runway. So we might, yeah, it's gonna be enough auto brake 2, not below 2, because otherwise with the carbon brakes we are not going to do the good thing for our brakes, because the developed heating from the brakes would be not enough to have an optimum consumption level of the brakes. So do not go below 2 whenever using auto brakes. I have discussed this and many others tips on the 737 in my previous video, so if you haven't seen it yet, please check it out on my channel. Is the stream that have been done just before this one. So not more than auto brake 2 will be reverse, flaps 30 landing, and for the route we are right now inbound to Surfer for the Surfer 4 arrival. We're gonna end up in Eddy at 6,000 feet, 240 knots. Should be crystal clear here. We're gonna arrive to Eddy, 240 or below 6,000. And from there we're gonna expect vectors for assigned instrument approach 28 left, 28 right. But since there is no ATC, we're gonna fly direct to Sidby, then to Sepin at 3,000, And then we intercept the glide path, runway 28 right, and we land. In case of go around, we climb 3,000 feet. On San Fran, VOR radial 281 to VQ. Here we go. And hold. Missile approach requires minimum climb of 350 feet per nautical miles to 1900. If unable, see ILS or lock 28 left, plate 11-2. So it's the other runway, but we are able today for this climb gradient. Once on the ground, we're gonna vacate to the left, hoping for Tango or maybe Quebec. This is a 900, so it's a little bit harder to stop. And from Tango or Quebec, we're gonna cross runway 28 left, and then we'll be to the assigned parking position that is expected to be Foxtrot 16. To get to Foxtrot 16, and we will just join Bravo, then will be Bravo 4 and taxiway north into Bravo 6 into Foxtrot 16, Terminal 3 of course. So approaching about, yeah, how much is that? 30 miles, 32 miles for the top of the Seine. We are running a little bit late because of the headwind we are encountering right now, and we were supposed to arrive at 21:51 UTC, so yeah, we're roughly still on time. Roughly, maybe we will be at the gate 5 minutes late, but it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Look at the details of the LED lights. Amazing, huh? They're really like that. These are the landing lights, and these are the turn off and taxi light. Amazing. On these 737 equipped with these lights, the taxi light have been removed from the nose. Intake of the engine, fantastic. These are the ram air door inlet, fantastic. Scimitar winglet, exhaust of the APU, and here we have the tail tip or the tip damper to prevent tail strikes. Huh? I cannot believe it. I've never seen it before. The wheel is actually spinning. It should not be supposed to do like that because there should be a stopper. This rubber band is going to prevent the wheel from spin inside of the wheel well, but it's spinning. Amazing. And here we are, back into the cockpit. So our first step for descent will be flight level 200. since we have to reach normally 200 or above. So approaching that, gonna set 200. Here we go, less than 10 miles. No ATC available, so let's assume that we got the clearance. Altitude intervention, and here we go. Good. This is very nice as well to start the descent a little bit ahead of top of descent, about 10 to 5 miles before top of descent, in order to slow down the engine to an average setting, about this 75-70%, before letting them go completely to idle, because it's not a very good idea letting the engine go from cruise power to idle all of a sudden. You will prolong the engine life much more if you do an intermediate step. Not really the best moment to fly in San Francisco, not in Los Angeles. Would have been much better if I have chosen to fly on the eastern coast, but no. Today is West Coast time. I think I've never done, or maybe it was a long time ago, last time I have done a stream on the West Coast. Or maybe I've never done it. The sound, okay, retard on the FMA is checked. The sounds in this LevelUP are just amazing, are really, really spot on. Really spot on. Okay, as you can see, there is a little drop of performance on my PC. Yeah, as you can see, Xplane is running in real time because the frame rate is less than 20, and then has been corrected again. This actually turned out to be some kind of noise change on my PC, and most probably this was still because of the XMP profile in my memory, in my RAM overclocking. So I might have to reduce a little bit more the overclock of my RAM. I will work on that. But if you should have ever experienced something like that, maybe if you have experienced it, or should you ever experience something like that, keep in mind that it might be specifically your RAM that is overheated or maybe too much overclocked. Keeping in mind as well that AMD processors, AMD CPUs, and motherboards are much more sensitive to RAM overclock than the Intel. So you'll really need to play around um, nicely with the RAM overclock. But after all, accept this recommendation. I really suggest you to overclock your RAM. We are now approaching a deceleration point. This we should decelerate to 280. Now we have retard, and the FMA is commanding for a slowdown. We should be flying over Monterey really soon, but it's overcast, almost overcast, so nothing to see around. Thousand two. Now we can actually continue 15,000. Still no ATC. 15,000 is set. Still FMC speed VNAV path, which is good. Altimeter setting 3001 is confirmed. And we can run through the descent and approach checklist. And pressurization landing altitude is 0. Recall checked. Auto brake 2. Landing data VRF 149, flap 30, minima 213. Approach briefing completed. Descent checklist completed. And approach checklist altimeter 3001 set and cross check. And the descent checklist has been completed. Very good. Next step is going to be 10,000. 10,000 set. Retard. Try to maybe put some brightness. It's still daylight, but maybe on YouTube it will be shown pretty dark. So I hope to be able to give a little bit more visibility of the panel. So the bay is pretty cloudy today. We have San Jose right around here. So this is going to be the bay up here. San Jose should be around here. These are these mountains on the right hand side of the track from Epic to Follett. And we can descend 8,000 set. And by Follett we have speed reduction at 240 knots, which is actually already expected due to the deceleration points 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's see with the other traffic how they are doing. Their approach into San Francisco. We have a southwest departing from San Jose, and should be this guy here climbing. Then we have this guy descending, which is a Cessna 700 from LA to Oakland, so he's landing in Oakland. And the other American Airlines that was ahead of me has already landed in San Fran, so it's okay. We are actually number one for the approach. Okay, approaching 10,000 feet. Good. Speed reduction is working well. I forgot to mention, if any of you has already or has ever wondered why my streams on YouTube appears with the two black bands, upper and lower from the video frame, it's exactly because of the resolution of my monitor. Since I'm running a 49-inch ultra wide monitor. This is a C1 exam, no problem. Since I'm running this ultra wide monitor, I had two choices when I started streaming. The first choice was to stream full screen in YouTube format, but I would have lost two segments on the left side, like this area here and this area here would have been lost. Otherwise, I need to go full screen, and in this case, I'll have to apply two black bands on the top and the bottom of the screen. So we are now approaching Follett, then will be 6,000 by a heady, mandatory 6,000, max 240, and then would be 4,000 feet. So we can actually descend 6,000 set. Still FMC speed VNAV path, so that's correct. Temperature is +6, so we're gonna need a little bit of anti-ice. Engine NTI is on. And it's on. This guy is landing in Auckland. Yeah, perfect. He is landing there. So until 6,000, the next step we're gonna have 4,000. No other traffic around, so I can also skip the communication on the Unicom. Of course, in real life, never do that because you don't have the big picture. So it's really important to see. Okay, the rain has come. Okay, let's see the speed. What is it doing? Should need to slow down. So we need a little bit of speed brake. Yeah. And engine NTI is off. Good. Good. I'm gonna keep speed intervention slightly ahead of what is my minimum speed at clean configuration. Clean configuration. Now it's not raining anymore in San Francisco. Start and go, start and going. Then we can continue down to 3000. VNAV alt, VNAV path, 3000, or we can also dial 1800 to this last step. Good. Flap 1, speed checked. Yeah, the speed intervention got deactivated because of that. Let's keep to 10. Flap 1 set. Speed 200, set. India Golf Whiskey Quebec identified. And we are cleared. Left turn. So nice. Runway heading 284 is set. Approach mode is armed. Vorlock green. Flap 5. Glass slope capture, speed 180. Go around altitude 3000. Set. So nice. And the runway's there. San Fran traffic, this is United 2631, visual approach runway 28 right at 10 miles. Okay, that's correct. We have an American departing from one right, okay? So let's see who's going first. I think I will go first, since landing traffic has always got priority over departing traffic. Good. Gear down. Flap 15. Wow, that is interesting. Seems like an underwater bridge. But actually it seems... I hope that is not. Flap 25. Speed brake is armed. Always important, is always really important to arm the speed brake after you have lowered the gear. I will explain you later why. Flap 30. And before landing checklist or landing checklist. Cabin call given, engine start switch is continuous. Speed brake armed, the landing gear is down, flaps 30 planned, 30 green light, landing checklist completed. Thousand stable. Good. Copied. San Francisco traffic, United 2631, visual 28 right at 4 miles. Okay, that's the American. Here we go. Disengaging auto throttle first, so we can stabilize the engine, and disengaging autopilot. Good. And we have contact. Wind is coming slightly from the left. Speed brake up. Two reverses, 70%. Checked. 60 knots. And auto brake disarm. Even faster. Wow. Even faster. We can vacate via echo. This was really fast to slow down. San Francisco traffic, United 2631 vacating via Echo and crossing runway 28 left. Okay, now we're getting the Bravo, the outer strobe light off. can get rid of the ILS frequencies. Start APU. Sorry, wrong button. So we said that our gate is Foxtrot 16. So we're gonna go all around terminal 3F. Yeah, perfect. So what I was saying about the necessity of arming the speed brake after you have lowered your landing gear is because if you should ever encounter a solenoid failure of the speed brake arming mechanism, what will happen if you arm the speed brake earlier than putting your gear down? What is going to happen is as soon as you lower the gear with the speed brake already armed, your speed brake will come up, will rise. And of course, it might be a dangerous situation for you. It might get a little bit of time to realize what is going on, and might cost you feet, might cost you altitude, might cost you speed. So it's important to arm the speed brake after you have lowered the gear, because if there is a failure in the solenoid, you will notice immediately as you arm the speed brake, and then you can put the lever back into the stowed position. So it's some kind of technique, SOP, and a little trick that will help you a lot in having an easier life on the 737. So the APU is on, and we really appreciate that. Then we're going to take Bravo 4 left to the left, next to the left. In the meantime, APU can go online. Perfect. Can also do this one. So Bravo 4 is here. Turn to the left. As you can see, sometimes there are some stutters in Xplane, but as I mentioned at the beginning, this is normal because I'm running in OpenGL, so it's just normal. So we're looking for F16, and F16 is the third from the bottom, so it's this one here. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So it's gonna be the next one. Next one we are approaching. Very nice. So taxi light off. And turn. Here we are. Don't look at the indication of the parking here. It says 85, but San Francisco, even in Xplane 11.55, is quite outdated for the parking bays. We are all waiting for the Mr. X6, Mr. X6, San Francisco scenery. And we are good. parking brake is set, APU is on, shutting down number 2, seatbelt off, shutting down number 1. Now we can do the flow. So wing can go off, beacon can go off, and the rest is good as it is. 1 hour and 38 block, 1 hour and 23 flight time. Not too bad. Not too bad. Welcome to San Francisco. So we can now connect the jet bridge. We can connect some catering and loader since we are in the base. GPU, chocks. Open some doors. And the GPU is available and on bus. Shutting down APU. And now we can run the shutdown checklist. Fuel pumps off. Probe heat is auto. Hydraulic panel set. Flaps up. No lights. Parking brake set. Engine start levers cut off. Weather radar is off. Technical log completed. EFB completed. So we also need to open the forward door. Yeah, there are some problems still with this 900. As you can see, also on the outside, the cargo doors are not opening. This is one of the major visual bugs in the 900ER from LevelUP. So welcome to San Francisco. I hope you have enjoyed this flight and this video at least as much as I did. For me it was a great, big, fantastic pleasure to have you all on board today. And I hope you found the information I shared useful. As I said during the video and at the beginning, in the middle, somewhere here and there, this might be my last stream for about 1-2 months. So I do apologize for being away from the stream for such a long time, but I will be active as much as I can. So comments, questions, do not hesitate. I will be answering as much as possible, and the activity on the channel, my presence on the channel will continue as much as possible, despite the fact that I might not be able to stream. I'm FlyLore737. Thank you once again for being on board with me today. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you next time on board our 737. See ya!